live once, so you better get up. Don't never give up, and be strong.
Video talking about the Congo genocide that's happening, where there's been over 6 million victims. And then there's another genocide apparently happening in Sudan. I haven't heard of either one of these. And as much love and just phenomenal humanity that I've seen coming forward in support of Palestine, I know that I haven't heard of the Congo and Sudan genocides because the victims are Black and from Africa. And at this point, I try to remain positive. I try to keep everything lighthearted, but what do I do? What do I do? How do I help everyone? What do I do? What can I do for Congo? What can I do for Sudan? What companies are involved? Like y'all please tell me, and I will. I'll push it. But these leaders in these countries make me sick.
And now let's turn our attention to the Sudan, a resource-rich nation in North Africa, now on the brink of collapse. 2 rival generals are fighting for control here. And the result is this: 4 months of devastating war, thousands of people dead, more than 1 million have fled the country. Those left are running out of food, medical supplies are scarce, looting, power and water cuts are rampant. Reports of sexual assault have increased by 50%. As the United Nations puts it, the situation is spiraling out of control. And what do the Sudanese officials say?
There was a time when civilization was flourishing in Sudan, the North African nation. It has always been rich in resources, which is also one of the reasons behind its downfall. The power games that play out and destroy the nation a little more each day. This is what most of Sudan looks like now. Buildings and cars on fire, billows of smoke pouring out. Over 1 million people have fled the nation and gone to neighboring countries. They had to. Life in Sudan has been unsafe for a while now. And after 4 months of war, it has gotten worse.
Many of our family members are lost. We don't know if they are alive or dead. They kicked us out and we could not take anything with us. We were told that our houses were burned.
We've all been abused.
Million
There was rape
victims. And then there's another genocide apparently happening in Sudan. I haven't heard of.
They took everything. They left us with nothing. It doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman, they just kill everyone.
Those who could escape the country consider themselves lucky. At least 3 million people are displaced within Sudan. They are running out of food. They lack proper health care.
About 67% of hospitals in the affected areas are out of service. In these past 4 months, since the conflict began, WHO has verified 53 attacks on healthcare.
Cities like Khartoum, Darfur and Kordofan face rampant looting and long power, internet and water cuts. At least 4,000 people have been killed. Many of their remains have not even been identified, let alone collected or buried. Reports of sexual assaults are on the rise. They have risen by 50% since the war started. The people of Sudan face what can be called crimes against humanity on a daily basis.
Warn that the war is destroying people's lives and their homeland and violating their basic human rights. They call on the parties to the conflict to end the fighting, protect civilians, and give humanitarian organizations unfettered access to all people in need in all areas of Sudan.
بقى الهجوم بيضرب رجال نساء أطفال والحريق في الهلة البيوت اللي فيه جيش.
As filmed by those who bragged about it as the town was burned to the ground. and as seen by those who survived it. And those whose loved ones did not. The massacre at Mastere is too big, too dark to take in all at once. So for us, the story starts here. The Médecins Sans Frontières field hospital just across the border in Chad, treating people with gunshot wounds who fled the fighting in West Darfur. And in Tent A, Bed 1, we meet Kauthar, a maths teacher. On the 28th of May at around 8 a.m, she was sheltering from the fighting with her children and others in the Mastere Primary School for boys. She was 9 months pregnant.
لما طلعنا كده خلاص لقينا الناس هم انحبوا وخشوا جوا الحلة. بقى الهجوم بيضربوا رجال نساء أطفال والحريق في الهلة البيوت اللي فيه جيش. خلاص كل الحلة طلعونا مشينا المدارس.
There were around 20 people hiding with Kauthar when Rapid Support Force fighters arrived at their classroom door and started opening fire.
داموا ضربوا 5 رجال اللي قتلوهم وإحنا ضربونا 5 نفر برضو. ضربونا هنا وطلع اتجاه هذا الإليا دي كلها اتقطعت وقعت لحمتها هناك.
After the attack, the RSF moved on, and the seriously wounded maths teacher started doing the calculations, counting the bodies in front of the school.
بعدك حوالي المدرسة وقريبة للمدرسة ديل قاموا قتلوا 52 نفر. 52 نفر ديل اللي قدامنا شفنا بعيوننا.
Here's me and my brother.
And as much love and just phenomenal humanity that I've seen coming forward in support of Palestine, I know that I haven't heard of the Congo and Sudan genocides because the victims are black.
We don't know how many of the dead were combatants hiding in the school, but similar testimony gathered by Human Rights Watch indicates that of the 52 people killed, at least 28 ethnic Masalit were summarily executed by the RSF in the school complex that day.
يلا طبعا في خرطوم ده بدو الحكومة بيقولوا شنو دعم السري لكنهم في القرية ده قاموا عملوا مشاكل قبلية.
Kauthar went on to tell us that the fighter who shot her was shouting out the Arabic equivalent to the N-word as he opened fire. In the days after the attack, virtually the entire population of Mastere fled across the border into Chad. And as part of the exodus, Kauthar, her children, and her husband Faiz. They all moved to one refugee camp. It's a long and bumpy road, but thankfully we have a guide. Kauthar's husband is bringing us there. The giant Congo refugee camp is basically Mastere supplanted across the border. The town had a population of around 30,000. 17,000 of them are in this camp. And all day long, under the shade of this sycamore fig tree, people queued up with their stories of atrocities. They showed us pictures of the dead, charred bodies burned in their homes. And there was video.
تاريخ 2023 شهر 6 يوم 1 الخميس. هذه هي مدينة مستري.
We were told that this was shared on an RSF WhatsApp group. We have verified that it is Mastere. The commentator is bragging that there's nothing left of the Masalit town, and using a racist slur implies that this is about revenge for attacks by Masalit militia.
جماعة بقتلوا الناس بذبحوا الناس ذبح الآن وما تدان ما تدان.
The Masalit fighters, vastly outgunned and outnumbered, were led by the governor of West Darfur, who was from the town. He was eventually captured, and on the 14th of June was killed.
أنا جماعة خلاص ما فضل لكم فوق أي حاجة. مدينة مستري ما فيها أي حاجة فيها الجثث ومقعد ما في زول قلاه.
This satellite image shows the town with a population of around 30,000 on the 24th of May. The attack on the school, remember, happened on the 28th. By the 29th of May, the whole town is burning. The killing didn't stop at the school. Plumes of smoke clearly visible. Back under the sycamore fig tree, the head teacher of Kauthar School is in the queue. He helped to bury the 52 bodies that his maths teacher counted earlier that day. And during that process, news came through of his own loss, again and again.
سمعت أنه شقيقي انضرب. قلت موقعه وين؟ وصف لي المحل. كنت ماشي عشان ما نتأكد. تاني في جماعة جو قال لي يا أخي ولدك استشهد. كان التأثير بتاعي شديد، كان حصل لي تغيير.
The town of Mastore is just 5 miles from where its population are now living as refugees, on the other side of the mountains, which you can see here in the distance. And this is why people were hiding in that school in the first place. The majority are from the African Masalit tribe. The Masalit had their own militia defending the town. And with the Sudanese armed forces distracted in Khartoum, Rapid Support Force fighters, an Arab militia, started to surround Mastore. They vastly outnumbered the Masalit militia, moved from neighbourhood to neighbourhood towards the centre, burning and killing as they went, until they eventually arrived at the school. Residents described a first wave of RSF fighters attacking the town in vehicles with heavy weapons. After that, a wave of militia on horseback from Arab tribes. It was the latter that ended up at the home of this man's 75-year-old father, in the house on his own at the time.
هجموا معه في بنات 2 ومعه راجل واحد.
Sadiq is one of the town's leaders. He says ethnic conflict may have been the clarion call, but his father was killed for his land and possessions.
قال له أنا ما ماشي. خلاص جد طوالي جلدوها بالسيطان. بعدك بالسكين طعنوا راسه. وشال منه أي حاجة. الجلاليب واللاس ذات الغيارات بتاعه ذات شالوه.
It's hard to get your head around the so many ways so many people died in the town of Mastore. Just one town in West Darfur. Thousands have died during the genocide in 2003 and now again. And so we return to Kauthar, shot in the back, close to her due date. Because every one of those killed had a name, including Kauthar's stillborn baby boy.
نعم سميته محمد.
والله اني عارفه انها بنسالك اسئله.
مو شيء اصلا. المقاصد عشناه من هناك كده.
They'll follow. You only live once in a lifetime. TV can fake you them to tomorrow. What happened to Bill? Not nobody care for science no more. Cause the friction to each other, science is broke. Gotta give them something when they say it's not enough. Someone they depend on every day like